For those just tuning in, we just wrapped up our matchup between the Necrons and the Death Guard with a final score. Necrons 84 to a Death Guard 70. 14-point victory. Chugga chugga.
Actually, with how bad my dice were, I'm disappointed in you. You should have scored a lot more than just 14 points more than me.
I'm literally like 16 points under max. Yeah, no, don't even. 45 on primary. I'll take that all day. Secondary is probably sat on that sabotage too long. I probably should have switched that out, but I mean, it's 6 points. So I was like, ooh, that's a good one.
I had area denial for 3 turns. I'm like, I'm definitely going to deny that area at some time.
At some point. It may not be this turn.
It eventually happened. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just completely, I'll just derail your poop talking. But no, because yeah, early on, I had some strong dice rolls early on, and that's some dice. That's dice. And later into the game, there was, I mean, you were like, at the same time, you were putting some heavy hits down with things like your Terminators and stuff like that.
It doesn't matter when you make all your invuln saves. It doesn't matter how hard I hit you. You're saying the Terminators hit you hard. They did. They hit very hard. And then you made 17 out of 21 4-ups.
So you rolled good. I rolled good right in response.
No, it was average.
It's equal. It's equal.
Yeah. No, it's definitely. No, it's definitely. I'm like blaming dice, not blaming dice. They were really bad dice for me, but I'm satisfied with the result because I know that in this matchup, I think DJ had the advantage because he was just a really shooting army. Didn't need to engage me until he wanted to as far as charging. And like I said, I was looking to make sure that for a team event, I kept it close, and I did. You only beat me by 14 points. So in differential scoring, that means you score a 12 and I score an 8. So I still contribute points to my team. And in this matchup, I would be satisfied with that. Because this is definitely not a good matchup for me. So I'm happy with the result.
The only thing that's different, and I will say this to err you on the side of caution, my list is built for 1v1 competitive. So my list is built to play 5 turns by itself and win and lose in its own right. Where in a team event, the shooting list might literally do basically nothing and just say, I'm just going to gun you down all game long. They're not worried about mismatches. They're not worried about, oh, what if you play Tau? What if you play Eldar? They're just like, don't play Tau, don't play Eldar, and sit back. Because as you stated, you are going to be the first army deployed on your team. So you're going to be the first one that's going to be placed on a table for anything else. So there are some armies that can put down a heavy dose of firepower to be able to handle those things. Biggest thing I can say is trash that Predator.
Oh yeah, he did 0 damage and had 4 turns of shooting, and I don't think he scored a single hit or scored a single damage that went through it anywhere. So yeah, I'll just take another carnivore. About round 3 there, I submitted my list for the team tournament, dropped the Predator, put a carnivore in there. So it
literally did carnivores. 0 damage all game. 0, nothing, not a single damage.
Yeah, like I said, if you're running a vehicle-heavy list, they're only 130 points. If you take like 3 of them, the dice are going to average out. You know, one of them will whiff, one of them will do all right, and one of them will hit pretty well. But when you just have one and you're just relying on that one to be your shooting threat, it just didn't happen. You didn't even bother shooting it because you were not scared of it at all. He definitely proved he was not, because again, hitting on 3s and then wounding on 3s is just not as impressive as the carnivore, which once he gets into close combat, hits on 2s and wounds on 2s with his strike profile. So
all in all, I felt like from my side of things, I felt like the spiders were significantly average. If sometimes they might have been something that was slightly below average when I was rolling the number of shots, I was getting like 5, 2, 2, 1, 4, 4, 1, 1. Like I think my spiders for mine were definitely lower in the tendencies of what they were doing. The big hit was on turn 2 when my wraiths just said, when you hit my wraiths and I just said wall 4-up invuln, which it's going to happen 50-50 shot on that, and then the feel no pains where I just completely walled that out. But at the same, and I was ready because I was ready to, I was ready in a position to pull them back and do all that stuff and move away from you so you didn't, or like move those guys back so you couldn't hit me with the Predator. But I was anticipating losing like at least 3 out of there instead of only 2. So I think that I should have lost at least 1 more out of there and then then you might not have gotten the charge because you charged them then after, didn't you? After you shot at them and I
picked up 2 in the shooting.
And then you charged. I reanimated one.
The 9-inch charge.
And then you, And
so I killed one more? Or?
You killed the one that I put back and left damage in the squad.
Yeah, that's it. So a 6-man brick of Death Shroud Terminators killed one. Killed one on the charge. Unacceptable.
I accept it.
So that was obviously they kill things in close combat. That's what they do.
That was more of a stop. I'm not as surprised as you were that the Plague Marines kind of really got slowed down by the wraiths on the right side. I was actually not as surprised. Like, you do have some 2 damage weapons that come in there, but then you have a lot of 1 damage, and it's a 4-up invul. So I wasn't as surprised that I thought you were going to leave me with the Technomancer. I didn't think I was going to get that 1 wraith to live, but I thought the Technomancer was at least going to live. How were you feeling over there with the dice?
Yeah, I mean, they can be swingy. They can definitely fail. There's no rerolls to hit anywhere in the Death Guard book, so you just cold dice rolls on your hit roll.
And you needed there was a strat that you've been hitting me with that you used over on the Terminators, not on them, that you wouldn't have available for them, did you?
Yeah, sustained, because it pops off sustained on 5-ups for the Plague Marines when you do that. But no, just losing the rest of that squad in Overwatch was pretty brutal. The only time my dice were good when I managed to kill that last Scarab. And with the single pistol shot, I was all happy about. And then when I charged, he picked up the rest of the Plague Marines in Overwatch. So it was actually a bad thing that I killed that Scarab.
Hey, those Doomstalkers are nasty. Those Doomstalkers are super nasty. They did a lot of work over the course of this game. Definitely, they're great for shooting Terminators because that flat 3 damage. So great into Terminators. They were able to blast into different Plague Marine units was super strong, super good. I knew they were going to be MVPs going into this game, and I'm pretty sure they were definitely the MVPs going out of the game. All 3 of them just kept, I mean, if we were to going back and seeing everything that they killed, they shot down the Rhino, they did a bunch of damage to the Plague Marines, Overwatch on the Plague Marines, Typhus, Terminator, like they just, consistency from those guys.
Yeah, it turns out the Strength 14, rerolling all your hits is good. Yeah,
and that flat 3 damage into 3 wound models. So they did really well. The only thing that was kind of a little bit of a wild card that gave me a couple extra points that I would have had to think about things a little differently was that squad of wraiths, that one that got back up to 4 models at the end of the game. That was kind of a wild card that may not have been around at the end. If your Plague Marines did pick them up, they were probably the biggest wild card to not be able to finish off the cultists. There would have been a couple little straggling cultists I would have had to deal with in the last turn. So they were probably a bit of a wild card, but I think overall that our list performed pretty well.
Like I said, I was satisfied with the result. I learned what I needed to learn, that it did pretty well in the situation.
I want to give the flayed ones another try. I don't think the flayed ones got a fair shake, simply because of the fact that they got heroics by the Carnivore. I know, that was rough having to play around that. This matchup, surprisingly, it was something I was thinking about with the free heroics. So that was definitely something I have to think about.
I got to remember, my Carnivores are battle line too.
They are.
So the Plague Marines and the Carnivores are battle line for whatever the battle line specific rules come up.
One thing I just thought about though, does that allow you to do multiple heroics? Because you heroicked once, because you did heroic over there. That's right. So yeah, but I want to try the flayed ones again. I felt really comfortable when I put up that screen that the Carnivore wasn't going to be able to hit my spiders and stuff like that. So I liked that, and where they were positioned. But then the Carnivore just smacked them. But at the same time, one of the reasons for taking the 10 was so that something would live. And 1 model lived, passed his battle shock, gave me 2 more guys to go walk up and take that objective. And because of that, I was able to have the full rerolls in the middle, which is pretty crucial. So they did well. Ophidians, I was honestly surprised that you dropped in there and shot them down. And I was surprised that you dropped in there and shot them down, but I also wasn't surprised because they're secondary up-down units, so it's value to take them out. But it's just with how slow your Terminators are to then have them in that point. But I gave you the flayed ones to get them back into the game to charge.
Yeah, it's always tricky with Terminators because they're just not going to go very far.
No, once they land, they land.
Once they land. But picking up one of your scoring units, I think, was essential.
Definitely, yeah, because there would have been definitely some opportunities for an additional points on behind enemy lines. Get that sabotage turn earlier because we had some space over there. I could have probably gotten in there a little bit earlier and such and things. So So you're going triple carnivore.
Yep, or just all close combat. Forget about shooting anything. We're just going to run.
Well, and I mean, what's nice is the carnivores can run up there and be obnoxious, be tough, be hard to kill. And then while your opponent's dealing with them, those rhinos can get into a position that now the anti-tank weapons that would pop a rhino easily are having to go at a carnivore to try to finish it off. So now you're getting weaker weapons that rhino soaks up. Because surprisingly, previous editions, transports have been trash. This edition, they did a decent job with vehicles and transports and such, like rhinos, that they're defensive enough. And when you get down to that realm, like where if with my Doomstalkers, for example, if I don't have the Doomstalkers to shoot at your carnivore and something like that, or a rhino, and your rhino's up on that objective, and we've seen this scenario. Okay, I'll shoot the spiders at it. All right, you save all the saves. I get 3 mortal wounds on it. Okay, so I shoot another squad spider on it. Oh, look, you save all the saves. I got another 3 devastating wounds on it. All right, but it's still alive. And then that's where it starts to run out. It's like, okay, you do the damage, but it's still alive. And then that did the one thing you needed it to do, was give you those 3 extra inches move, disembark, and crash whatever point. And then after that, you start healing 1 wound and you go hide and contain or do something else with it. So I do like the position where they're in. And I mean, I feel like because of the fact of having those 3 carnivores, you'll be able to protect yourself. I personally still like the Dreadnought for being able to go poof on things, but 3 carnivores is definitely an aggressive play.
Yeah, the Dread is only 8 wounds. That's the downside to him.
And not as fast.
Yeah, and not very fast. So it definitely has play to put things into contagion, especially when running carnivores. But I just think in this build, we're just going, well, I mean, I've already set my list in. I set it in an hour ago. So this is what we're locked into. So, yeah, but I feel good. Like I said, I feel good about the result of this game because I was definitely at a disadvantage in terms of the engagement with you being able to shoot so much.
How do you feel about the changes that I made to the Necron list in general, though? With the
no, good. I think you only need, well, the Psychomancer is one of those things where I always fail the battle shocks for you. I imagine you run into times sometimes when people don't fail them. So having 2 gives you kind of redundancy there. But he definitely was able to score you behind enemy alliance points, that sort of thing. So.
And pull you away from sending things for area denial to take him out to prevent me from scoring 6. Because you can move in the middle and it's like, oh, cool, I scored this points. But then I score sabotage for 6 points, which is a big one, a big swing. Ophidians, you've been telling, I know you love the Ophidians. Well,
I mean, for scoring purposes, yeah. That's why I had to pick them up, because they needed to die.
You hate Xenos, but you love what the Ophidians do. And what you have been an advocate when we've talked about the list a couple times that you said you really should need to just get Ophidians in there.
Yeah, you have enough damage output in your list. It hits enough. You just need to make sure you're scoring secondaries. You scored fine on primaries. The secondaries, I think, were a little below. What was it?
Yeah, I was at 29 on secondaries.
Yeah. So you dropped 11 points on secondaries.
Yeah.
You only dropped 5 points on primaries, right? Yeah. So the secondary game is where you need to worry about. You have wraiths are there for holding primaries, so you don't have any problem with primaries. It's a matter of making sure you have ways to get around the board and score those secondaries.
No, yeah, but the one thing that I'm definitely considering, especially, I got one thing it's if the flayed ones don't pan out, I might drop down the 5 flayed ones and put the Crypt Thralls back in, just to be able to give the race that little bit of extra durability. Because again, in this scenario, like, yes, I rolled well on the race to get that one, to keep the 1 squad alive off to the right side. If I have the Thralls, that's me rolling well. It seems like every time that's where it's at. And if I just put the Thralls in there, those will give me the defense that I need to keep the wraiths alive, to do exactly what you said. Hold those primaries so I don't have to worry about other things. And then things like the spiders and the Ophidians and stuff can go do other things. So there's a possibility I might go into the Crypt Thralls and be a little bit bulkier and defensive if the flayed ones don't pan out. I could just put 1 unit of Crypt Thralls in for 60 and still take the flayed ones, but I'm starting to kind of lean over to thinking I need those Crypt Thralls back in just to be able to have that extra layer of defense to get by things like this. So it's like, okay, I did roll hot over here. Now I don't need to. I have 6 more wounds plus feel no pains. now we're good.
If you're thinking about trying to win a GT, then you need to win 5 games. And in 1 or 2 of those games, you're going to have poor dice. You know, your dice will be bad. And having the cryptrolls in there would help make up for that.
I think that's kind of where they come in. It might be a thing of taking just 5 flayed ones, even though I said they get swept off the field. They still do provide a screen. They still do zone out. I can use them to block deep strikers out and zone that stuff out and little things like that. So maybe that might be the way of just go with the 5 flayed ones, go with the in the Ophidians, and then get 2 crypt thralls in there for the unit that infiltrates, so that I have that, or even maybe probably not the one that infiltrates, because the one that it does infiltrate is usually defensive. Put it on the one that doesn't infiltrate, so I can move it in the middle and just go, okay, cool, you hit me. Poop, poop, pop the thralls.
Yep.
So, all right, any closing thoughts on the Death Guard?
No, I think we're good. I'll let you guys know next week how I do with the team tournament.
So, speaking of next week, what do you want to do?
I could probably do Imperial Agents if you want to see what the...
What do you guys want to see us do? So, I personally kind of I kind of got the Necron itch going again, you know, and wouldn't mind continuing to play some Necrons. So, my thing would be, what dynasty do you want to see? What detachment would you like to see? If you want to continue seeing Canoptic Court, I'll throw Canoptic Court out there. Probably the only one I don't really want to run is Hypercrypt, because I play Grey Knights frequently, and in that sense. But if enough people really want to see Hypercrypt or see something crazy with Hypercrypt, or someone's like, dude, play Hypercrypt with this and throw a crazy list idea out there, I might change my mind. Like something weird and wonky and off the wall, I might be interested. But yeah, what do you guys want to see as far as Necrons are concerned? Macronis, let us know in the comments section of this or another video. And Lane, for him, it's armies. So let's just give 3 armies. You said Imperial Agents.
I don't know, Space Marines, like some Vanguard Space Marines, probably.
Space Marines,
and then Custodes, I guess.
Custodes. Now you have been talking about working on Blood Angels.
Yeah,
but that's mean. So Blood Angels are very mean. So we'll probably hold that off for some more mean.
Well, the Blood Angels release box comes out this weekend, but we don't have. That's the release box. It's not the full rules, so we won't actually have points for the new codex until they release the codex independently. So I'm not going to play Blood Angels until we actually get the points when they actually release the codex on its own, not part of the launch box.
And then we can do Blood Angel versus Khorne.
Yeah,
one of the fastest battle reports. Scream in the middle. Everything dies. All right. Score the points. Game over. I'm sure it'll be very quick. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for tonight. Thanks for watching. And as always, we'll talk to you again soon.